Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is the second video on Twisted Lies. I've already uploaded part 1 in which I've read out the first chapter, and it is too good, because like first chapter you see the chemistry, it sizzles and everything. You get like the story sets out and like it's super nice. And in this particular video, I have read out, I'll be reading out, I've bookmarked certain good portions from the book, those portions, and the fantastic epilogue, which has all the like the couples from the 4 books in the series, to, the 4 books in the Twisted series, and it's super good and funny. You're gonna love it. So watch the video till the end and let me know in the comments which is the next book you want me to make a video on. Let's continue.
So the first scene that I'm going to read is Stella went on a blind date, to find a fake boyfriend, and the date didn't go well, but Christian ends up there. So I'm going to read out that conversation. Stella: once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern. I turned my head. What's 3 times, Mr. Harper? First the car ride home, second the Delmont dinner. I didn't count our lobby run-in earlier that night since we lived in the same building, but overall I had bumped into Christian a suspicious number of times over the past 2 weeks. Fate. He slid onto the stool next to mine and nodded at the bartender, who greeted him with a deferential nod of his own and returned less than a minute later with a glass of rich amber liquid. Or that DC is a small city and we have overlapping social circle. You might be able to convince me you believe in coincidence, but you'll never convince me that you believe in fate. It was a notion for romantics and dreamers. Christian was neither. Romantics didn't look at someone like they wanted to devour them until there was nothing left except ashes and ecstasy, darkness, and submission. Something hot and unfamiliar coiled in my stomach before the bell over the front door jingled and broke the spell. How long have you been here? I hadn't noticed his arrival. Long enough to see you eyeing these cocktail pics with longing while your date was talking. It wasn't a bad date. He just had to leave early for an emergency. It was a balanced lie, but I didn't want to admit that I had failed. Not to Christian. Yes, it looked positively scintillating. His voice was drier than a gin martin. I could tell by the way your eyes glazed over and stayed to your phone every 5 seconds. The true sign of a woman infatuated. Annoyance squeezed my lungs. Between Klaus and Christian, Klaus is the one she went on date with, the nunnery was looking better by the second. People say sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, but it's the highest form of intelligence. Christian's mouth tugged up at my raised brow. Oscar Wilde, I know the full quote well. Why was I not surprised? Don't let me keep you, I said pointedly. I'm sure you have better things to do with your Friday night than drink with a girl who takes care of your plants. I'll leave after you've explained why you looked so unhappy after he left. Christian settled onto his stool, the picture of relaxed elegance, but his eyes were sharp as he waited for my response. Somehow, I doubt you were disappointed by his exit. Okay, so that was it from this part, and then, she goes on to explain him that she had, it was, the reason why she wants someone with whom, like, she can, be on a date and all that, why she needs a date for the followers and all that stuff. I'm not going to read that. If you need the book, just let me know in the comments. The next scene that I'm going to read for all of you is going to be chapter 33, which is a combined portion from both point of view from Christian and Stella. Christian. She was dreaming. I could tell by the way her lips curved and the soft noise she made in her sleep. I wondered what she was dreaming about and whether the said dream included me. If not, that was unacceptable. I pressed a soft kiss to her shoulder and wrapped a possessive arm around her waist. Whether in heaven or hell, in dreams or real life, Stella was mine, and I didn't fucking share. She stirred and let out a small, adorable yawn before her eyes fluttered open and met mine. Good morning. A smile touched my lips at her Good morning. A smile touched my lips at her shy tone. Morning, butterfly. Sweet dreams? She stretched and snuggled closer to me. What were you dreaming about? I don't really remember. Something involving about. I keep meaning to start a dream journal, but I always forget. I chose not to ask what the dream journal was. Were you alone in the dream? I asked casually. Now that you mention it, there was someone with me on the boat, she said. Dark hair, tan skin, a bit older than me, but really good looking. A smug smile crept over my lips. Stella snapped her fingers. I remember now, it was Ricardo. She let out a squeal of laughter when I rolled her over and pinned her arms above her head. You think that's funny? I growled, but a smile threatened to slip free at the sparkle in her eyes. I was only telling the truth, she teased. Don't tell me you're jealous of a dream. I didn't think you would be one of those guys who would get clingy after sex. I told you, Stella, I'm jealous of everything when it comes to you. Something dark and possessive moved through my chest. And it wasn't just fucking sex. Sex was a transaction, something people did to pass time and find physical release. Anyone could have had sex, but no one could rip me apart and put me together back the way she could. I was joking, Grumpy Pants. She lifted her head and pressed a light kiss on my mouth. I don't remember the dream, but if I remember, I'm sure it featured you. You're only saying that to make me feel better, I grumbled. Her lips twitched. Is it working? No. But my shoulders relaxed and I released her wrists as her laugh wound its way through my chest. So, this was a really cute scene which I thought I should read. Now, the next bookmark that I have is, they're on Hawaii, on a trip to Hawaii for Stella had some business stuff, like some influencer Del Monte stuff. So she had to go there, and obviously Christian went with her. They spent a really good time there, but then Stella was like, she was doubting everything. So that's the part I'm gonna read. It's never been real. Hawaii is a dream, but it's ending tomorrow, and I want to set the right expectation before we return to DC. You said it yourself. A lump in my throat grew. You don't believe in love. Despite my aversion to relationship, I was a romantic at heart. When I found the right person, I wanted to get swept up in that grand, all-consuming love. The type of love that had compelled Alex to move to another country for Ava, that gave Bridget and Rye the courage to go against a country, and that transformed years of animosity between Josh and Jules into something beautiful. That type of love existed. I had witnessed it with my own eyes, but it wasn't something Christian believed in, and while I knew he wanted me, he didn't want me enough to change such a deep-rooted belief. Men like Christian Harper didn't change for anyone. Love has nothing to do with this. His hard reply proved my point. The bitter taste of disappointment welled on my tongue. Exactly. You were the one who told me not to fall in love with you, Stella. Do you remember that? Those dark eyes pierced mine. Yes, and I mean it. I resisted the urge to twist my necklace around my finger like I always did when I was nervous. It was my tell, and I bet Christian had already picked up on it. I still do. Because if Christian ever fell in love with me, I didn't trust myself not to fall in love with him in return. And I had a feeling falling in love with him wouldn't be sweet and easy. It would be catastrophic. Things have gotten too complicated with me moving in, this stock situation, this trip, I said when Christian remained silent. The original rules of our agreement are all getting blurred. Maybe we need to see other people so we don't. I didn't get a chance to finish before his mouth covered mine and he kissed me with a soft desperate viciousness that I felt from my head to my toes. Tell me. He curled a hand around the nape of my neck. Does this feel fake to you? No, that was the problem. It felt too real, as did the possibilities that he could break my heart. I want to make a few things clear. Christian's lips brushed mine with each word. Touch another man, he dies. Let another man touch you, he dies. Tell me I can't touch you. His grip tightened on the back of my neck as his voice dropped, and I will fucking die. An ache grabbed hold of my heart and twisted. Christian, love is nothing but a word. The intensity of his words stole the remaining breath from my lungs. This isn't about words, it's about us. Do you think I would disrupt my schedule and fly to Hawaii in the middle of a work week for anyone else? It's a nice destination, I said weakly. I thought it was obvious, but in case it isn't, you are mine, Stella. His touch branded my skin with hot possessiveness. I don't want to see other women, and I'm sure as fuck you don't see other men. Ice frosted the word men. You belong to me. You belong with me exclusively. There is not a world or lifetime when that's not true. Emotion stung the back of my eyes, but I managed to smile through the tightness in my chest. Christian Harper, are you asking me out? Yes. Simple, unequivocal, real. It seemed almost comical that someone like him would do something as mundane as ask a girl, but that didn't stop my stomach from fluttering or my mind from playing through the past 2 months. So, this was like a really like a very intense scene, so I read a part of that.
Next scene that I have is, like there was a really intense scene when, she was kidnapped by the stalker. And after that, Christian, he got her free. And they had actually broken up before that because she gets to know that, yeah, Christian was also like kind of a stalker. Not like kind of a stalker, but like he knew everything about her. And when she opened her heart, he already knew things about her. And like privacy was something that mattered to her a lot more because, and like the intensity of her privacy increased after the stalker situation. So they kind of broke up, but then she got kidnapped. And after he saved her, they have a conversation where he explains her the importance of Magda in her life, a painting which has connection with his past, his parents and all that. So I'm going to read a bit of that.
So actually, that's a really big portion. I just realized. I'm just going to tell you in short. Christian's father was a thief. Like, not exactly a thief. He did business, but on the side, he used to steal paintings because her mom liked it. Like, they were people who were like madly in love with each other. And when he saw that love makes you think, which does not make sense, uh, he gave up on love. But then and her mother, because she was so inspired by painting, she painted one, and it was one of those were like so ugly that his father couldn't even admit it, that it was like, yeah, okay, it's good, and they kept it in the garage, and that's the Magda painting. And then his father died, her mother committed suicide because she couldn't live without um, his father. So he tells all of this to her, and obviously Stella being a sweetheart, soft-hearted person, she is like the emotions are all over. After that, Christian explains to her that the painting is still with Dante, who I think is the one on whom the next book is going to be. So yeah, then Stella asks, so have you figured out what do you want to do with it? Not yet, but I will. We lay there, our breaths intertwining in compressed space between us. Stella was right. I hadn't gotten over Magda. I had pushed it to the back of my mind because of everything that had happened in the past few months. But I could still feel its skeleton grasp on me. I could destroy it, or I could live in its strange hold forever. But that was a decision for another day. Can I tell you a secret? Stella whispered. When I was in the cabin and I thought I was about to die, the person I thought about most was you. Her words sliced me open and dug into my heart, both the part about her dying and the part where she thought about me. I'm not saying I'm 100% over what you did, because I am not, she said. But I also understand keeping things secret and not knowing how to tell the truth. I also realized I was wrong when I compared you to Julian. Julian is actually the stalker. He would never hurt me the way he did, and to be honest, She swallowed visibly. I missed you. The compression in my chest loosened and my mouth softened in a genuine smile. I can work with that. Also, a ruddy flush spread across her cheeks. I might be able to give up the percentage if you give me a goodnight kiss. Laughter rumbled in my chest. I can definitely work with that. I drew her closer, and I missed you too. I added softly before pressing a gentle kiss to her mouth. I could kiss her forever, but I forced myself to pull back after the count of three. Now wasn't the time for a hot and heavy makeup session. That's all you're getting for now. You need to rest. Stella asks. Stella sighed. Tease. Despite her grumbling, she was out like a light minute later. I tugged her closer to my chest, and after weeks of restless nights, let the soothing rhythm of her breath finally lull me to sleep. Okay, now I'm going to read out the epilogue. Now, the epilogue is from two point of view. First is a portion from Stella's point of view, but I'm going to read the Christian point of view because, in that scene, characters from all the books are together. So I'm going to read that, the whole thing. Christian. One thing no one told me about being married was how often I had to interact with my wife's friends. Holidays, birthdays, dinner parties, when they were in town. My once business oriented calendar was now bursting with things like fucking Broadway night and Christmas at Von Ashburg. We altered hosting the holidays. So this year we were at Rice and Bridget's getaway villa in Costa Rica. Specifically, we were in their living room for the annual Christmas Eve board game night. I finished my wine and waited for the inevitable complaints. It happened every year. There's no way you're not cheating. Josh stared at the Monopoly board with disbelief, just like clockwork. How do you win every time? What can I say? I work in real estate. Alex drawled. Perhaps if we play a medical board game, you might stand a chance. I refused to believe it. Josh sat back on his haunches. Every Christmas. There. Jules patted his arm. It's just a board game. Her diamond ring flashed beneath the light with every moment. She and George had finally gotten engaged last summer, though they hadn't set a wedding date yet. It's not just a board game, Red. It's my pride, my dignity, my fake money? Ava raised an eyebrow. You say the same thing every year. Yes, well, it doesn't make it any less true. Josh grumbled. He leaned down until he was eye level with his 3.5-year-old niece and nephew. Your dad is a cheat. Neither child seemed impressed by his accusation. Daddy won, Sophia insisted. That's right, little sunshine. Alex cast a smug look in Josh's direction before he swept her up and kissed her cheek. She giggled with delight. Your Uncle Josh is a sore loser. Her twin brother Nico sat back on his haunches and pounded the board with tiny fist. Uncle loser, daddy winner. Uncle loser, daddy winner. The Monopoly pieces went flying from the force of his pounding. I silently cursed as one of them landed in my wine. There was no fucking way I would drink the rest when it had been tainted by a dirty game piece. Meanwhile, Josh playfully tackled Nico, who shrieked with laughter when he started tickling him. Can't believe you betrayed me like that, bud. Josh growled, his voice thick with amusement. We were supposed to be a team. Next to them, Bridget and Rye's daughter watched them with Next to them, Bridget and Rye's daughter watched their roughhousing with a mystified expression that was far too mature for her ear. With her blonde hair and grey eyes, little Camilla von Ascherberg was a miniature clone of her parents. She also looked surprisingly regal for a 2-year-old in her blue dress and matching hair bow. Her brows scrunched when Josh and Nico accidentally knocked over a glass of water. Daddy! She tugged on her father's sleeve and pointed at the spill. I could have sworn I heard a note of disapproval. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Rai sighed. Happens every year. I never thought I would say this, but Rai's kid is the only one who isn't a little terror. I muttered to Stella. At least Camilla had the decency to sit still. I watched appalled as Sophia played with Alex's hair. Daddy, braids! She twisted the strands into something that did not resemble a braid in any way, shape, or form. Look! They look great, he said indulgently, while she continued to massacre his perfectly styled hair. I was convinced an impostor had swapped bodies with the normally ice-cold Alex the day he became a father. It didn't make sense. Stella laughed. The twins are adorable, and you know it. I know no such thing, I said. Even though, as far as children went, Sophia and Nico were pretty cute. I glanced back at Rai. I thought seeing you whipped for one girl was bad. I drawled as he and Bridget cooed over a now giggling Camilla. Two was even worse. Now that the game had ended, the rest of the group had broken off to do their own thing until dinner. Josh was still trying and failing to get Nico to say Uncle Josh is a winner. Ava was taking pictures of Alex and Sophia, who had moved on to climbing over her father like he was a jungle gym. Stella sat next to me, watching our conversation with amusement. She was used to my strange friendship with Rice. Once she tried to call it romance, which I shut down immediately. Abso-fucking-lutely not. I was not a bromance kind of guy, and neither was Rai, who appeared unfazed by my last comment. You talk a lot of fudge for someone who's already eaten words once. He amended when Bridget gave him a warning look. Come on, sweetie, let's go look at pretty flowers while your father has a chat with Uncle Christian. She scooped up Camilla and took her out to the garden, no doubt worried we would slip into profanity any second. I'll also be back, Stella said quickly. I'm going to get some water. I waited until she left before I arched a brow at Rice. No idea what you're talking about. Sure you don't, Mr. I don't believe in love? Aggravation lit in my chest. Are you still going on about that? It's been 5. I lowered my voice so Sophia and Nico couldn't hear. 5 fucking years. Oh, I'm going to give you shit about it for the rest of your life, so get used to it. Rai said, and when you have children, you'll eat your words again. He leaned back and placed his hand behind his head with a smug smile. Good track record of that happening. I couldn't stand his ass. Before I could respond, Stella poked her head out from the kitchen. Christian, can you come here? I need your help with something. Be right there. I rose and pinned a laughing Rai with a cool stare. While I help my wife, you think about when Camila grows up and starts dating. I stand, wiping the smile off his face. Have fun. Satisfaction filled me when I heard his low growl. When I walked into the kitchen, I found Stella drowning what must have been her fifth glass of water that night. Are you sure you don't want any wine? She wasn't a big drinker, but she usually had a glass or two. It's a great vintage. Yes, I'm sure. She set her glass down and looked at me with an oddly nervous expression. I can't drink alcohol right now. She said it with a meaning, like I was supposed to know what that meant. Why would it matter that she wasn't drinking alcohol? Granted, it was a bit odd that I can't drink alcohol right now. I replayed her words. Can't. Not don't want to. She couldn't drink alcohol, which likely meant my pulse slowed into one long disbelieving beat. I didn't want to tell you in front of others, but I also couldn't wait anymore. Stella's voice lowered. Christian, I am pregnant. You're pregnant? I repeated. The words echoed in my head, too gilded with shock to sink in fully. Stella confirmed with a nod, her face glowing with equal parts excitement and nervousness. Pregnant. Babies. Our baby. The breath left my lung in one fell swoop. I closed the distance between the two of us with long strides and kissed her fiercely. My heart thundered hard enough to bruise. Forget every uncharitable thought I've had about children. We were going to be parents. I was going to be a father, and I was going to see Stella swell with our child. A little boy, perhaps, with curls and brown skin, or a little girl with her mother's green eyes and sweet smile. A fierce protectiveness gripped my chest. The baby hadn't even been born, and I had already wanted to guard them with my life. A boy or a girl, it didn't matter. All that mattered was that they were ours. Does that mean you're happy? Stella asked hopefully when we broke apart. My laugh was rough with emotion. Of course I'm happy, sweetheart. How could I not be? I need to find the best obstetrician in the country ASAP, plus redo the penthouse, which was currently a non-child-proof as it could get, take Stella shopping for maternity clothes, book a baby moon. Well, you just called our friends children little terrors, so... Her voice held a teasing note. Yes, but that won't be our child. Our child would never do to my hair what Alex did to his. Stella gave me a wry look. As much as I would like to believe our baby will be the first baby in the world that doesn't scream or cry, there's a chance that won't happen. I want you to be prepared. I don't care. They could scream and cry all they want, and they would still be like their mother. I brushed her lips with mine. Perfect. A small shudder of pleasure ripped through her body. I was right all those years ago, she murmured. I was right all those years ago, she murmured. You, Christian Harper, are a softy at heart. I laughed softly. Only for you, butterfly. I kissed my wife again and let her warmth wrap around me while our friends' laughter drifted over from the living room. The scene was so cheesy and cozy that the old pre-Stella me would have despised it on principle. But that was the difference between then and now. Once upon a time, I hadn't believed in love. Now I realize that love was the last piece that has been missing in the puzzle of my life. With it, I'm finally home.
And guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you all guys liked it, especially the epilogue. It's one of my favorites. Like this, the first and the last book in the series is my favorite, and especially the epilogue. It's like a cherry on the top because it gives you an insight into what happens into Alex and Ava's life, and it's just so Anna's life. Sorry, it's just so good. So let me know in the comment section which of the four couples is your favorite. And thank you so much for watching if you're still watching. And please like and subscribe. Thank you.